So, the spiritual awakening that I experienced, I guess I didn't really question that I was crazy. Growing up, my family supported the notion that we were told things or we knew things that we didn't have a reason to know. And we always talked about them as they said. And there was never questions with that. Going through mainstream life, kind of it wasn't talked about. It was only in the family environment. Moving away from my family when I first was married, it got tucked a little bit further and further away. And getting in touch with my intuition when I came back home and I was around family more, the intuition was more spoken of. It was more acceptable. It was something we did. And then I was remarried, kids came along, mainstream society. While my children were aware of intuition and gifts and hearing and knowing things, just wasn't really talked about. And the public school system doesn't really support that either. So it kind of faded. And I went through a lot of stresses in my life, a lot of big deal things. And that inner knowing, that intuition just got stuffed further and further and further down. And then when I started working with a healer and uncovering all of those layers that were suppressed, I mean, it was like one layer today and another layer and another layer. And as we got down further, I felt that connection again, that connection inside myself, the connection that made me whole. And I very distinctively remember going to a local flea market. It was in the fall, and the flea market was held at the local fairgrounds. And so there was the cattle arena that had been packed down. And so there was the gravel and that lime dust in the air. And I remember looking through the antiques and furniture. And I think the biggest impression was then when I touched it. We were never told you can't touch things, you can touch things. But as I was touching these things at this flea market, I felt that connection again. So I'm touching a sewing machine. It was a sewing machine that was in a case. It was the wooden cabinet. The machine was out, but just touching that cabinet, I realized that I could then feel the last person who used that, who loved it, who cherished it. And I had that rush of all of those feelings. And it's like, oh, I miss this. Now, before, things like that would overwhelm me. And then as I learned to be in tune with that intuition, to be able to train and wrangle in that empathic ability to know what is mine and what is not mine. And so I can enjoy that. I enjoy feeling jewelry, going to an estate sale and holding that jewelry and knowing the love that the person had before. Or there's also some things that aren't so pleasant, but I'm able to know that they're not mine. That's not my feeling. And anything that I bring like that into my home, obviously I clean that. I also have a barrister bookcase, and its previous home was in a church for many, many, many years. And so the energies that are with that piece are pretty awesome. So just being in touch with those things allows me to know that I'm in touch with me and I feel whole and I enjoy that. So for me, I think that was my spiritual reawakening. Yes, I felt a little crazy. And there's some circles that you can talk about it in, and there's other circles that they just aren't as receptive and understanding. So I'm not angry with them. I'm not even frustrated. I feel sorry that they don't have that connection. Well, they have the connection. We all have the connection. They don't know how to use it and access it. So having and experiencing your spiritual awakening, when this happens, need to find the people around you that can support you through that process and teach you how it benefits you to have this and how you can protect yourself from not going into the overwhelm and not internalizing those feelings, being able to differentiate what is your feeling and what is someone else's feelings, the residue that they left with their things. So get out there, enjoy life, find what your connection is. I have many ways of channeling and connecting with other energies. Touch is one of the favorite ones. I love antiques. Rocking chairs seem to have the best stories.